Fever star Sophie Cunningham breaks silence on her WNBA future, CBA negotiations. Sophie Cunningham isn't one to hold back, and she stayed true to form this week as she opened up about her uncertain future in Indiana and the state of the WNBA's ongoing CBA talks. Speaking with Front Office Sports, the veteran guard gave one of the most candid assessments yet about how players are feeling as negotiations drag on. Sophie Cunningham's future with Fever next year. Cunningham, known as one of the league's most unapologetically outspoken players, joined the Fever ahead of the 2025 season after 6 years with the Phoenix Mercury. She quickly became a fixture in Indiana's rotation, averaging 8.6 points, 3.5 rebounds, and 1.2 assists before an August MCL tear ended her year. She also carved out a distinct role as Caitlin Clark's on-court protector, picking up 3 fines in her first season for her fiery defense and willingness to mix it up. Now she's an unrestricted free agent for 2026, and the lack of a new collective bargaining agreement has left her in limbo. When asked how confident she felt about returning to Indiana next season, Cunningham didn't pretend to have answers. "You know, we're all still keeping in touch, but obviously there's not a lot," she said. "There's really not a lot to talk about on there and on our end until there's a new CBA. And I think that's how it is across the league." Our uncertainty is rooted in something bigger than simple roster decisions. Cunningham believes the entire league is operating in the dark until the players' union and league executives agree on a framework for the future. "There is a lot of uncertainty, like you said, with CBA, with the money, if we're even going to have a lead next year," she said. "And then if people want to come back, we're trying to keep our core together. But, you know, when money is waved in people's faces, you just never know." She added that if the Fever does manage to stay intact, health and consistency will be crucial. Cunningham's tone made it clear that players haven't seen much progress from the negotiation table. The last update they received came 2 weeks ago, and the silence since has players reading between the lines. "I think the last meeting was about 2 weeks ago," she said. "I know our execs are talking with their people every single day. I don't think there's been much movement. I think at least there's communication. So that's the biggest thing for us." Cunningham noted that the union typically calls meetings only when there's something meaningful to report. The fact that they haven't heard anything in 2 weeks doesn't give her much confidence. "So I'm not so sure where they're at," she said. "But for us players, I think we're standing strong on what we want." As she rehabs her knee, Cunningham has remained visible during the off-season. She appeared at the Pro-Am event tied to the ANNIKA driven by Gainbridge at Pelican Golf Club in Florida, where she and Lexi Holt supported Caitlin Clark and interacted with participants and sponsors. Whether she'll be back in a Fever uniform remains unclear, but her comments suggest the decision may depend less on Indiana and more on what happens in the bargaining room.